We're recording, Bubba.
Holy shit.
Hello and welcome to the Unfazed Review Podcast. I'm Ben.
I'm Emmett.
Today we are back at our old stomping grounds, the chill, the mellow courtyard.
Good to be back. Feels good. And it feels like a long time since we've done a podcast.
It does, yeah.
And I was looking on the channel, it had only been like a week or so that things said. But I think it's because we've been doing so much content since then that it feels like way too long.
Yes, and our producer Max is unavailable this week, so we're not using the studio, but we still want to do a podcast, so we're like, well, let's just go to our old spot.
The classic fountain courtyard.
Yeah,
so you guys enjoy.
We're feeling good, and as some of you may already know, as we alluded to in the Discord, which you can join below, today's episode we're going to be focusing on, a good chunk of it is going to be focused on dating horror stories.
Yes.
Yes, and then of course we'll go into the whole news litany.
One brief aside, because we did a stream about it a long time ago and told you guys to get on it, is Dogecoin is doing really well right now.
Yeah.
And way back when we said, hey, this is happening, a lot of people didn't believe us, but it's
going up.
Been very good today.
And my thing is, if you're having the feeling of missing out, don't stress, because like I said, I'm not a financial advisor, but if you can get on it now, it's like, as of right now, like 31 cents or something like that. Seems like a lot, but let's say you sink in 100 or two, who knows where it'll be by the end of the year. So get on it.
So the most basic thing about stocks that you got to remember.
Rolling thunder.
Fucking Christ, bro.
Okay.
So the most fundamental thing about stocks, other than buy low, sell high, everyone knows that, right? But
what's that?
the effect of the sell high thing makes things scary. It gets to a height and then it dips, and everyone's like, "No, I missed the." No, it'll come back up. So don't freak out when it does this, because it's gonna keep doing that, but the overall trajectory will still go up. So
yeah, and if I had to recommend things to get on right now, Coinbase just went public yesterday, as of the recording of this. Coinbase, their ticker symbol is COIN. That's one I would recommend getting in on. And then, crypto. I mean, Dogecoin's where it's at right now. Be careful. Don't bet the farm. But maybe bet a quarter of the farm, you know?
Yeah, guys. So just, if you have a little money to throw around, it's better than
the casino.
Get it. Yeah, better than a casino. Better than buying an action figure, which we know I do from time to time.
They can be good investments.
Yeah. If you invest right, then you can go buy 20 action figures at the end of the day.
30?
So, yeah. One more quick little thing before we get into the is because I this is very unusual for me, but I've been enjoying it. Is I think I got Disney Plus literally on Sunday. It's only been like not even a week since I got it, and I broke down because we were doing one of our family brunches, and we wanted to see. I think it was some classic Disney movie. And I was like, all right,
Fantasia.
I might as well just get Disney Plus.
No.
And I've been watching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Nice.
I was just telling you about. It's
cool.
It's actually pretty good. I didn't watch WandaVision, and I really don't particularly care about Marvel in general, but this is the two characters work really well together, and there's some interesting stuff. I don't want to spoil too much, and it's a mini-series.
I want to watch it.
Yeah. It's actually cool. It's actually cool. So I will say,
I like superheroes. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Avengers thing, but no offense.
This is nice because the actions. One of my favorite aspects of it is it's more about the characters, and the action sequences are like kind of sparse.
It's cool.
Like there's one really big one at the beginning just to get you in, but then like for the whole first episode, I don't think there's any more action.
That's
like
amazing.
There's one sequence in the beginning, and then there's like 30-40 minutes of just like exposition and talking, and understanding the characters more.
But it actually makes the story like come to life a little bit.
No, it's great. Yeah, I loved it. I always liked Winter Soldier a lot. He was a cool character, and it's cool actually like getting a moment to understand him rather than just seeing him like fight CGI aliens for 2 hours. So
you need that. You need a little balance. You need a little exposition. I can't even talk. Exposition. A little character development.
Yeah. I never. There's always like a big show like Game of Thrones or WandaVision. I always miss those things. And once,
remember the Big Show, the wrestler?
Yeah.
Big show.
There's always a big show. But I'm rarely on like the wave. I think this is the one time I've been like on the wave of.
It's nice to be on the wave.
Yeah, it is. It's fun. So let me know in the comments if you watch it. If you can talk about it in the Discord. I've been enjoying it a lot. It's fun.
Hell yeah. And also, shout out, we just got a new patron, so thank you so much, Brian.
Yes, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Love you, Brian.
It means a lot because it helps us. You know, every little bit helps. It helps us to make more content. It helps us to fuel the vehicles if we're doing travel vlogs, and it just means a lot that you guys actually care enough to stick with us when we're making projects.
It really does. It changes everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you want to help us out in the future on the Patreon, guys, link is below. And thanks for your support.
Yeah.
So let's dive into this.
Let's dive in.
We're doing dating horror stories for the first part of this this podcast. So we had a few ideas we wanted to talk about, some personal stories, some experiences, and also some of our Unfazed crew on the Discord actually submitted some stories too.
Yes.
So I think just to get the ball rolling, let's start with some of our friends on the Discord.
Yeah, let's check them out. I really haven't. I've kind of got the gist of some of them, and I haven't actually read them yet. So
okay, cool. Let's see what we got. See if we got any new ones. Let's see here. All right. So cool. So this one, I don't know if he wants his name shouted out, so we're just going to refer to him as Jay. Here's his dating horror story, and this is one of our Unfazed crew. He says, "Hey, here's my dating horror story. So during my first year of university, I met a girl who seemed pretty sweet, interested in stuff, and so on. For some context, she had gotten a new car.
Ooh,
and wanted to cool car and wanted to show me because I guess she thought it was cool. It was a Nissan, I think. So basically went to see a movie, have some dinner, and then head home. Here's when things get a little fucky." I love that, Jay. Thank you. Here's where things get a little fucky. I'm gonna start using that.
It's good.
So she was driving me home in her fancy new shitmobile. This guy's awesome. And nearly jumped the curb. She was also driving kind of stupidly. So the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police, drove up to pull us over. But instead of doing that, she decided to be a complete moron and run from the police with him in the passenger seat.
Jesus.
She tried to pull into a driveway and hide. I live in a very country type area, so it was dark as hell. But they found us, as cops tend to do. So the cops put us both in handcuffs while they searched the car. They ended up giving me a ride home and took her to jail because not only did she steal the car, but she had stolen a gun and a shit ton of different stolen drugs, mostly pills, hidden in the trunk of her car. He actually knew one of the cops, luckily, who had arrested him, and he was joking about the whole thing on the way home. Great guy, by the way. Lucky for him. Long story not so short, it was a stolen car that belonged to her ex-boyfriend, who she had a grudge against. Women, eh? I never saw her again, so I think it's safe to assume she fucked herself over in this situation. Keep in mind back then, myself and this chick were both 18. My response was, wowza, that's a wild one. Thanks for sharing. Holy crap. What a crazy bitch. We'll talk about it on the podcast.
How selfish do you have to be to put someone in a situation like that? I mean, she was... Clearly, it sounded like having some kind of fucking... midlife crisis, but she was 18 years old. She was having some insane thing.
The thing about chicks like that, they're having a crisis every 6 months.
Yeah. And so, was this just a random hookup, or had he been seeing her? Or?
It sounded like they at least dated a couple times.
Okay, yeah. Whew, I'm so sorry, man.
I don't know the context on that, but it seemed like, even if that was one date, it's still crazy.
Yeah, it's horrific. I can't imagine being in that situation.
Yeah, that's some crazy shit.
Oh, God.
But
it's a complete disregard of the person you're with to do something like that, to pull them into that.
Best situation is getting out of that and catching the crazy early on.
Yeah.
Catching the crazy is like catching cancer. It's like they're both C words, kind of like cunt. But... Sorry.
No.
And I would like to say, we're going to probably go hard on some dating stories here. So I just want to say, when I'm talking about bitches and crazy bitches, I'm not referring to all women. I'm talking about the crazy bitches. There's definitely it's like when girls say, I hate all men. It's like they don't really hate all men. They hate the men that fucked them over.
Yeah.
So it's like same kind of thing. If you get mad at me for saying that, sorry, but there's some crazy bitches.
But hey, it's apparently okay for them to say I hate all men. You see it all the time. They all say that shit. Yeah, we know that they're just talking about a few men, but so if it's okay for them to say that, it's okay for us.
Yeah. So if you hear us going off, take it with a grain of salt because we're just talking about the truly crazy bitches.
And there is a really unhealthy dynamic going on right now with the whole, because of COVID, the OnlyFans thing skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing that a lot of women just have no regard for men, and they think it's kind of cool to just use them and get money from them and then just fuck off.
Yeah.
There's this whole very toxic.
It's very evident, and I think it's really going to fuck with the fabric of society, and it's going to make a lot of guys out there just kind of pull away and be like, you know what? Is this really worth the headache?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's at the end of the day, it's our fault because they couldn't be getting away with this if it weren't for us just really wanting to see their nudes on OnlyFans or really wanting to have a chance to fuck them or whatever. So just have some respect for yourself, guys. I know we get horny and
don't let me in with you.
But no simping. The simping's got to stop.
Yeah, it's got to stop.
It's really bad for everyone, actually.
Yeah,
it's bad for them. It's bad for us.
It's bad to put crazy people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter how nice their ass is.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
All right, let's read the next one. This next one is from our... I don't know if he wants me to say his name.
Our good man. Our good friend from the Discord.
This is from B-Boy. We'll just call him B-Boy. Yeah. Who is a good friend and
Yes.
we appreciate his involvement in this.
In the submission, thank you.
All right, so he has a really long one, so I'm going to try to consolidate it a little bit. Here's B-Boy's dating horror story. He dated a girl for a while last year. Right off the bat, seemed great. Both had the same intentions. Wonderful, perfect girl. At the same time, she told him that she had some toxic tendencies, and but she also seemed super enamored with him. For a while, she'd end up disappearing, and she'd be shady about it. And she wouldn't tell him where he went. Or, I'm sorry, where she went. She would really awkwardly refuse to actually do anything. She was proposing. Really messed with him since she was doing that and was saying what she was saying wasn't aligning with her flirting. If he ever brought it up and tried to communicate with her, trying to figure out what was really going on, she did nothing and would rarely listen to him, even telling him one time that she resented how he never did anything toxic to get her or got... I'm sorry, hold on a second. Let me read it the way he wrote it. Nothing... hold on a second. Even literally telling me one time that she resented how I never did anything toxic to her or got mad or did stupid shit to her because she felt bad about how she was always doing that to me.
What the
and therefore felt like it didn't balance out.
What?
I'll just read it verbatim so it makes more sense. She'd constantly tell him, tell me,
B-boy.
Tell B-boy how nice of a girl she was, and would subtly brag about all these weird social situations. And it was really obvious she was trying to make herself look aloof and desirable in this really weird, distant way.
I fucking hate that.
Where I could tell I was just someone to tell her she was cool, an ego stroker. I always just kind of smiled and nodded during this and was honestly like, yikes, mentally, the entire time. But after all the stuff she told me about previous guys and all sorts of shit, I didn't want to be another one that randomly pieced out on her. Although, wow, I should have earlier. Good
Sounds
man.
like, sounds like there's a reason for it, yeah.
I don't know how long stories... Oh, he's just telling me something internally. Here we go. Okay, so always after a while, it was starting to look pretty bad, as if it hadn't been already. She'd tell me all sorts of stuff and then showed no signs of ever doing these things and was openly non-committal. Eventually, she got around to telling me she thought I was perfect, and it scared her because the last guy she dated, she also thought that, and then he cheated on her shortly after. I totally understood the trauma of this and tried to give her a pass mentally, though that was difficult because she said I was nothing like him and that she completely trusted me, but then still was being all weird and distant despite this, and let me know she was making all her distance-creating decisions based on this fear, again, despite telling me she trusted me entirely and knew I'd never do anything harmful. In fact, we were only a few attempts of this ever, and on the second try, she told me something along the lines of, hey, if we keep going down this road, we can stop. And I was like, well, we need to fix something here. At this point, she was barely in my life and rarely spending time with me unless she was horny. Classic. Again, any attempts to communicate were met with either disappearance and blaming me for having a problem at all with any of her toxic behavior, or, two, pretending to listen and never doing anything about it, depending on the topic.
Classic.
All right, so very soon after this, she almost completely dropped off. I'd get about one text response every 2 to 3 days. Yeah, classic. That's when you start pulling away, the half ghost. And she called me once during work, and we had the we need to talk conversation. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
In which she literally told me in a very verbose manner that I was the problem for trying... Always.
Yep.
Always. They can never admit it.
They always have to make you the enemy so they can feel
Yes.
justified.
Yep. We need to talk conversation. That was the that he was the problem for trying to communicate about all the toxic things she did, the mismatch between what she said and how she acted, etc., a lot of which I left out. So this isn't even more of an absolute novel, but just trust me, there was a lot of weird gaslighting shit going on. And that I was fragile for actually trying in the relationship and wanting her to give any semblance of that energy back.
Psychotic.
And that I wasn't emotionally ready for a relationship. Boy, it sounds like she's just fucking...
Projecting,
yeah. Because I wasn't okay with her toxic traits.
Jesus.
Funny enough, earlier in this whole mess, she also fully admitted to having tons of toxic traits. Anyway, she's barely communicating. She has 5 days off in a row from work, and we hung out only once. Most of the time she spent alone with her best friend, Levi. Oh, boy.
Love Levi.
Sounds like a real fuck. The one time we hung seemed almost normal, and it really messed with me to notice, which was the case all along. Her in-person and on-call behavior was completely different, and how much care or consideration any of my feelings I overall received depended on how her day at work had gone, how horny she was at that moment. It was after this Twilight Zone weird Monday night that she dropped off the earth and gave me that "you're the problem for not dealing with my shit" conversation. God. She remained barely communicative and kept promising to meet in person to talk things over. Here's the end of it. After the second week of this, I finally just texted her and said, hey, just call me right now. Good man. I'm not dealing with this, and I have no idea what I did to deserve this. She called and said it wasn't going to be good, as if I hadn't already written her off a week and a half ago. But she'd mentioned subtly many times, usually in reference to previous relationships, how she thought she was the one in control of the relationship, saying, oh, you want to break up with me? No, I break up with you.
What the
and crazy shit like that.
They gotta have the power dynamic. They gotta be wanted, you know?
So we talked. She admitted she was being a piece of shit and that she handled the disagreement poorly. Told him he was the best guy, or she told me I was the best guy she'd ever met, and that everything really was her fault. Said maybe we can try again after I'm done with school. Got to focus on that. No promise, but maybe, as if it were a favor she'd later decide to dole out or not. She was going to go to therapy to deal with trauma, probably a good choice. She wasn't going to try again with a relationship for very long until she gets her shit together. So despite all that, he actually really respected her for this. Exactly 5 weeks later, she posted on Instagram about another guy she'd obviously met on Tinder. 5 weeks later. Based on the comments, never heard from her again. So basically, he found out, let's see. Oh, he didn't have any crazy stories, but he said this one he felt was crazy enough, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
And it was very long, but I appreciate it, so I could kind of fill in all the gaps.
Yeah.
But B-Boy, I think you dodged a fucking bullet there.
Oh, yeah.
And someone who's that toxic and can't admit when they're wrong, and they have to project it onto you, is just a flawed human being.
Yeah, the fact that she was like self-aware that she had these bad traits, and then put it on you for being like a good guy.
Yeah, fuck
and
that.
like you were the problem because you were a nice guy and she was a piece of shit and you should have been a piece of shit with her. That's when you know she's just straight up insane. She's fucking insane. And that
you
whole...
did, I'm so glad you're able to get out of that.
Yeah.
Because someone like that, like I said, it's like, can you imagine getting engaged to a crazy fuck like that?
I know. God.
Can you imagine getting married or having a kid, getting locked down with a crazy bitch?
A nightmare. A nightmare.
It's better to just go your separate ways and let them unleash the crazy on someone else. You know.
I'm sorry, B-boy.
Sorry, B-boy.
There was I remember in my 8th grade science class there was a poster. You probably couldn't post anything like this in your classroom anymore, but I fucking loved that teacher. He was so cool.
What was his name?
Mr. Swatzel.
Shout out to Mr. Swatzel.
He's probably dead now, to be honest. He was old back then, but
good man.
He was a good man. I think he was like a Vietnam vet.
Oh wow.
Just an all around cool guy. And
Vets are very cool.
I remember some douchebag, some like swag guy in the class was like, "Hey, Mr. Swatzel, who's your favorite student?" And any other teacher would have been like, "Oh, you're all nice," but he was like, "That'd probably be Emmett."
Nice.
And I was like, "Hey, great!" But it wasn't because I was like really good at science or anything. It was just because I wasn't like a douchebag. I just like behaved and I was nice.
Did you have a toxic date with Mr. Swatzel?
No, yeah. So the point was, walking into his classroom, there was this little like, it was almost like a cartoon you'd see in the newspaper where it was two girls in front of each other and they were saying hi to each other, and then there was text bubbles that said hi, and then I forget exactly how it was written, but they were like, you could see that they were analyzing, like, it was all these other things like shoes, glasses, eye color, and they were like analyzing all this shit about each other.
Oh,
and it was like it filled the page with like all the stuff they were thinking about
so
around
their
just,
mental chatter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Around just saying hi, and then next to that was two guys, and it was just hi. That was it. That was it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and girls really do like they overthink like everything.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not all girls, but a lot of girls like that. They have all this constant, cyclical, weird, shitty thought process that means nothing.
And there's always exceptions, like I said. I know because we've got some female Unfazed crew that are amazing. And it's like, I've gone out with some girls that are really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And there's some girls that are your friends where you're like, you're awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that's the reason they're such a gem and why we have to comment on them, because there's such a sea of crazy fucking bitches out there.
Yeah, there really is.
So it's like, that's when you're like, oh no, but she's an exception. She's cool. Yeah. The fact that you have to justify it like that means that there's something wrong with the other 90%.
I know. And that whole thing where they have to make you the bad guy at the end so they feel okay for pulling, that's so
Insanity.
classic, and it's so shitty. Like, if you feel you need to leave a relationship, you don't have to say why. It's totally within your rights to be like, I'm just not having a good time, I'm not comfortable with this right now. I'm sorry, you were a good guy, but I just can't do this right now.
I wish people could be more mature about it.
I know,
just be like, I wish it was just like, hey, this isn't working out, cool, peace. Instead of it having to be like, hey, this isn't working out, and the girl's like, okay, fuck you, you're dead to me.
They always have to be again, like, mentally on top. It's like it's like
a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and it's like, it's very competitive. It's like they're trying to compete and they always want to be on top. I was talking to a friend of mine who was a girl about this other girl that I liked, and I was asking her about it because I wanted to like get her take on it because she's a girl.
Yeah.
And she was straight up like, yeah, I mean, even I do this where sometimes we'll will kind of they'll lead guys on just to keep them around because they like feeling wanted.
100%.
And that is so sick. Like, never do that.
Think of how many girls you guys. Think of how many girls a lot of you guys have on Snapchat still that you haven't seen in person in ages.
Yeah.
But you still have them on there. Why do you think that is?
I know. And then again, on our end, to extend an olive branch, I know that there's a lot of girls that I will like. You'll try to get at them. They won't take it, and then you kind of go through the cycle, and eventually you come back at them at some point, and you try to get at them again. You know, it's like I know guys can be shitty too. We get horny and we like
100%.
We go for girls, even if we know there's probably nothing there. We just do it in like this desperate effort. But
Humans are horny fucks.
Yeah, humans are horny fucks. Yeah. But it's so more systematic with them to like keep a guy barely hanging on to give him this false hope that maybe there's a chance if he really likes you just because you want to feel like yes, I'm important, I'm wanted. It's so unhealthy, so sickening. Just never do that. You could be breaking a guy's heart. You never know how much he likes you.
You know what's weird is a lot of times, especially around this neck of the woods, either if you're in Scottsdale or downtown Phoenix or any big metropolitan area, but I'm sure even country girls are similar. Some of them, even though they seem more down to earth.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm going off track here. But, there's been a lot of times I've been at a restaurant and, like, if it's you and I talking, we talk about a whole bunch of stuff. We'll talk about entertainment videos, comedy stuff, like anything. We hop all over with our conversations, like all over the place. But a lot of times, not all girls, but a lot of times you see girls, especially our age, and they're just, the whole conversation is, oh my God, and Brad said this, and oh my God, and it's all, like, focused on dudes and their relationships, and like that's the focus, and there's like no variety.
I know.
It's like, oh my God, and Veronica's wedding, and oh my God, and then I'm thinking about taking Dave, and then it's all like, holy fuck, and like that's the whole goddamn conversation. And it's just like, shit, let's have some depth here.
Yeah.
Let's have some creative thinking. Fucking A.
Yeah, it's sad. It is sad.
I don't know. Anyway, guys, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with some more dating horror stories.
We'll return after these messages.
Heavy rain is slowing traffic.
What time's your meeting?
8:30.
Oh, great. I have to be there by 8. Sitter isn't here yet.
You ready for more good news?
What now?
Kevin's diaper leaked. Everything's soaked.
Not today.
If you could buy a thin diaper that dramatically cut leakage, even overnight, wouldn't you try it? This is it. New Love's Deluxe. Now with the Night Guard system. No diaper has ever worked like this. If baby only wet once during the night, almost any thin diaper would do. But only Love's new Night Guard system quickly distributes wetness throughout the padding. So when baby wets again, other diapers can leak, but Love's can still absorb without leaking.
We better roll.
Everything's in good shape today.
Oh, is that that new diaper?
Now it's our only diaper.
Those things really work, don't they?
They really work.
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those enticing commercials.
So, you want to get into sort of personal stuff we've experienced?
Sure, yeah. Thank you again for those stories, guys. Those were really good. Sorry if I kind of condensed them a little bit, but I really appreciate you guys submitting. And, excuse me, hang in there. You dodged a bullet. Chicks like that, not worth your time. Like, crazy. And that goes for anyone, even for our female viewers. If there's a guy treating you like shit, get out of there. Get out of that relationship. Your self-worth is worth so much more, and your own happiness is worth so much more than being stuck with some crazy person.
We know guys can be monsters too. I think it's like the idea of like emotionally, mentally abusing a woman, let alone like physically abusing a woman,
or a man.
Or a man is so like foreign to me that I sometimes forget it's real. Like I cannot imagine doing that.
Yeah.
So like I forget that it's a real thing, and it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And
there's some real some real sick fucks out there.
Yeah.
So if you're in an abusive relationship of any kind, no matter who you're with,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Tell someone, get out of there.
So I mean, so like all the complaining we're doing right now is
Cautionary.
And it's coming from our personal experiences. Like I know we can say women are mean, they've been bitches because like they specifically to us. Like we know we have standards.
Yeah.
We try to care about other people. So just from our personal experiences, like this is bad.
Yeah.
in terms of our values, but obviously there are complete monsters out there.
Yes.
And also very manipulative guys, and so
And I think for every 50 shitheads, there's 5 wonderful people.
I agree. Yeah.
That's my ratio.
Yeah.
Let me talk about my most recent bad dating story. I had met a girl online, actually, and which I had enough negative experiences with online dating that I'm done with it for good.
Good call.
It was I don't know, too much damaged goods out there. So anyway, I met up with this girl, really cute. She was cutesy. She was like, real petite, nice body, brown hair, like cutie, And the crazy thing was, here's how the horror stories always start. Really nice. Like we met up, had dinner, had everything in common. She liked like almost all the same comedians, almost all the same podcasts, great taste in music, and she was a musician, and like, check all the boxes for like someone you can actually talk to. I was like, holy shit, this girl has like super similar taste in music, except for Billie Eilish. She liked Billie Eilish.
Too bad.
But she was like big into like the Beatles and like alternative
That's cool.
stuff.
That's
and
cool.
like, classic rock and punk rock. And
Yeah.
she had good taste in stuff. And then she was all into like Bert Kreischer and like Tom Segura, and I was like, holy shit, like,
That is really cool.
she's really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so we hung out, had a really good first date. Like, she was like super flirtatious, like really, really cool chick initially. And then, first date was great, and then she was like, hitting me up and very flirtatious throughout the week over text. And then she wanted to hang out a second time about a week later after our first really good date. And that was the beginning of the end, my friends.
Oh no.
So we met up, and we were supposed to go to this one restaurant. And the thing about her, though, is I noticed right off the bat, she was like, hey, let's go here, 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 and here. And she was like picking all the spots. And when I suggested a place, she was like, no, let's go here. And I was kind of like, okay, that's
A little annoying.
all right, a little annoying.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, maybe she, whatever. So we went to this restaurant, and they had like an hour wait. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I'm going to pass out. She's like, I'm so hungry. I need to
Okay,
eat.
right off the bat, sorry, I know you're getting into it,
Yeah.
but so were you guys going Dutch on these, or?
So no, initially, the first date, I invited her. I was like, hey, do you want to go out and get some dinner or something?
And then she picked the
she
place.
suggested the place.
Yeah, see, if you're going to take someone out, they
Yeah.
have to go where you want.
She suggested the place, and she blamed it on her dietary restrictions.
Jesus.
But my thing is, I'm like, if you're gluten-free, you can go to most places.
Yeah.
They have options.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she chose this Mexican place, and we went. And since I invited her out, I picked up the tab, the drinks. It was fine, no big deal. And had a good first date. Second date, she picks this place, hour wait, and she's like complaining. She's like, I can't. She's like, I'm going to be so hangry. She's like, I absolutely can't do an hour.
So angry.
And I was like, okay, Joe Pesci. So there was a steakhouse next door, and I was like, let's see if there's any availability here, because it was like a Friday night, and it was like packed. Like all the places around this area, it was a pretty popular area, had people waiting outside, because it was a busy night. So we go to the steakhouse, and sure enough, they're like, oh, we got seating on the patio. I was like, okay, cool. So we go in, we sit down, and it turns out to be like one of the more expensive restaurants like on that side of town.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, okay, let's treat ourselves.
Yeah.
So we go, we order drinks and order food and have a good talk, have a good time, have fun, and it's a solid date, and then at the end. She one thing is I kept ordering drinks, and she was taking my drinks and drinking most of the drink. That would piss me. That was one thing I forgot to mention. We were talking like $16 cocktails,
Ooh.
and it was kind of like, all right, do you want one? Do you want me to
That
get
would piss me
And I
off.
even told her, do you want me to get you one? She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, all right, well, can I have mine back?
I'm not fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so, and here was the thing. So I don't sound like a cheapskate or something like that, which I'm not. Throughout the night, one thing I noticed about the conversation is it kept circling back to money with her. She kept coming back to money, and then she started
Money.
she started bragging about a promotion she'd gotten at work, and she was saying how well she was doing compared to her peers, and her family was mad at her for how much money she was making, and how she was planning on buying a house and all this stuff. And she was kind of being a blowhard about money, where it was like she was talking about it a lot.
I'm doing great.
And I was kind of like, okay, cool, good
Yeah,
job. I was like,
yeah.
congrats, that's awesome.
yeah.
But I noticed that was kind of a focal point with her. And at the end of the night, finally the check came, and it was like a $160 check. And I was kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. And at the time, I was not making very much. I wasn't, wasn't rolling in it. And it was way more than I expected. I was like, $160 tab. I was like, oh. And like, I was like, oh, hey, would you mind if we split this tonight? And she's like, oh, sure, no big deal. I told him, I'll take care of the tip. I'm like, 'cause it'll be like a $30 tip. I'm like, I'll take care of that. So we did that, and obviously I paid the lion's share by doing the tip as well. And then she's like, oh, let's go to Topgolf after this. And I'm like, okay. And like, Topgolf's pretty steep.
Yeah.
For 2 people, it can be a little, that's like a place you go with like 4 or 5 people to split.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go to Topgolf, have a good time. Actually, believe it or not, there was a power outage there, so we didn't play for like 10 minutes. And they comped the games for us. And I was like, sweet, no big deal, that's great.
That's nice.
And then we had a few more drinks. I paid for the drinks. And then we left, and she was like, oh, I want to go get a little more food. And I was like, really? I was like, we just ate.
Wow.
And she's pretty tiny, too, so I was kind of like, sure. And so we went and like got some fries and like a soda. I think we just pulled into a McDonald's nearby because she was like really hungry. I didn't get anything, so I was still full from the dinner. And then we came back, made out a little bit, and then drove off, went our separate ways. So over the course of that next weekend and into the next week, she was texting me like normal, very flirtatious. She was like texting me like every day, super flirty, and indicating, you know, she wanted to hang out again. And I think there was a couple days we couldn't. There was one day I think I was doing a No Expectations podcast, and then I did something with you. And anyway, so you and I had recorded a podcast, and we were editing. I was actually with you when this happened, and we were working on it. And then she was like, I forget what it was. It was like, I think I had to cancel on her that day because we had obligations. And finally, she was like, hey, I really want to see you. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, how about, you know, tomorrow? And then she's like, well, that's fine if you don't want to. And I'm like, no, I want to. Like, we'll make it work. I just had some stuff going on this week. And then, shit, sorry. I'm breaking things. George is getting upset. And anyway, long story short, basically the next text she said was like, hey, I really can't be paying for my own meals. She's like, that steak dinner really put a dent in my account. And I was like, where's this coming from a week later? And she's like, I have goals. I can't be paying for my own meals. And she's like, I don't like your morals. They don't align with mine.
That just means you're not like giving her everything.
Yeah, and I was like, where the fuck did this come from? Because she had been lovey-dovey and flirty the entire week up until that point of me saying I couldn't hang out.
Right. Yep.
And I was super nice to her. And anyway, and I told her, I was like, well, hey, maybe in your dating profile you should put, you know, a disclaimer saying you want a man that's going to take care of you, and put all of your crazy expectations down. And then she's like, no, don't turn this around. And she's like, I'm not obligated to care about your feelings, and you can't feel bad about this, and all this crazy.
You can't feel bad.
All this crazy like condescending shit.
Yeah.
She sent me like a paragraph. I showed you.
Yeah.
She had like sent me a paragraph.
Yeah.
Emmett can vouch for it.
Yeah, it was fucking insane.
And finally, I told her, I was like, hey, look, obviously, like, you just want a dude that's going to just like give you a white picket fence and pay for all your shit, and then you can brag about your weird job. And I told her, I was like, good luck with everything. I'm like, but please don't talk to me. Yeah. And then she like sent some other paragraph back, like, you know, I'm not obligated to care about your feelings, blah, blah, blah. And finally I just blocked her. I was like, whatever. But what a fucking psycho. Like, what a fucking psycho. And that, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like you run into someone like that seems so great, and then it turns out they're just... They don't care who you are. They just want maybe a slight connection, and then they just want someone to take care of them.
Yep.
That's it. They don't care who you are. They just want you to. They just want a warm body. God. They don't care who the guy is. You know, it's a plus if you get along with them. But a lot of these bitches out there, no matter how independent they claim to be, they just want a dude that's just gonna take care of them, and so they can just, you know, pop out some kids and live on a fucking house with a white picket fence.
She's one of the most selfish people I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
The quote.
I mean, those texts I showed you, they were fucking crazy.
They were
right?
insane. Yeah.
They were insane.
The quote, "I'm not obligated to care about your feelings," is one of the most fucking conceited, awful things you can say. Everyone's obligated to care about everyone's feelings. It's called empathy. We're supposed to just have it anyway.
Yeah.
And that's just her saying. Yeah, I mean, my goals. I can't be paying for my own dinners because it doesn't align with my goals.
I can't be paying for my own dinners. I need to be focusing on my goals. And then something again about her getting a house. And I'm like, you psychotic bitch. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Christ,
it was our second date, you fucking weirdo.
I know.
And also, like, I'm not about money stuff. Like, I'm not hyper focused on that. But when she becomes hyper focused on it, I'm gonna mention it. Oh, yeah. You know, it's like, what the fuck, like. I don't know, dude. It was weird.
And it was clear that she was a very selfish person, and I think the underlying issue with a lot of these women is that they're just very, very selfish human
Yeah.
beings.
And my thing is, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are. They just want a warm body that they can lock down and they can take their fucking engagement pictures with, and then they can just fucking grab their wallet and go do their thing. Yeah, and that's a sick way to be as a person.
It's insanity. And there was a girl I've been seeing a few months ago. Your story actually jogged my memory.
Maybe it was the same girl.
Okay. Petite, brown hair.
Yeah,
Always talking about her raise.
yeah, massive cunt.
No, but yeah, and this had nothing to do with money, but it was nonetheless. It showed that she was a very self-centered person that just didn't think about. That again had no empathy. It's a lack of thinking for others.
Yeah.
And this again, at first, this was a subtle thing I didn't really think about until it kept happening again and happening again. It was
How many times do you guys go out? Where did you meet?
I want to say like you go like 5 or 6 times.
Okay, where'd you meet her?
But
You don't have to name names. We won't name names here.
college. I do it for college.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically, it was just about like meeting up.
Yeah.
And I'm old school. I like to actually schedule things
Yes.
at least a day in advance or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And
You're a busy man.
Yeah, I would always try to schedule something. It feels nicer like that. You look forward to it. Blah blah blah.
Totally.
I would give her like a couple days or whatever days I'm open that week, and I'd be like, hey, I'm free these times. We can do something. Then let me know when you know. No rush. Blah blah blah. She would never like respond to those, and then she would be like, come over now. I'm free.
Oh yeah, I know the type.
Yeah.
I know the type.
And then I'd be like, yeah, okay, like
Yeah.
my time wasn't worth shit.
It has to work on their schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, and if it's somehow it doesn't slightly work with theirs, they get mad at you.
Exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I came over the first like 3 times, and then one time I couldn't, and then she was very angry. Like it was like oh okay, like getting all like passive aggressive through the text, all pissed. I'm like I'm really like I genuinely just can't right now. Otherwise
Yeah.
I would. And then that's when it hit me like holy shit, this woman is a bitch.
Has to be on her schedule.
Yeah. And that's
Her way or the highway.
the sad thing is that
Take
doesn't-
the highway.
Yeah. The sad thing is that doesn't even seem like a big deal. But it
agree.
is,
I agree.
right? I mean, like a lot of women do that.
But in their world,
Yeah. And then her reaction, and then just today, I was there's this girl I text semi regularly, and I was just telling you on our commercial break how women will ghost us at the drop of a hat.
100%.
They won't think about it.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. They're so bipolar. Like everything's going good and all this.
what was weird was I even showed you 3 texts earlier before the whole I can't pay for my own meals, need to focus on my goals crazy litany. She was like, you're such a cutie, and had sent like all these like, cutesy gifts, and like, totally bipolar, dude.
That's a terrible thing to do to a person.
I
What if you like really, really liked her and that was making you feel good,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
And she even had the audacity of saying, I need someone who's more stable.
What
and
the
I'm like, bitch, you don't need someone who's more stable. You need someone who's just gonna like take care of you. Like,
Yeah,
and just,
stable means he has like money up the ass. And he's just gonna do everything.
Yeah,
for
and
you.
you don't care about the personality or
Yeah,
the connection.
yeah.
You just care about money. Why don't
Yeah.
you just say that outright?
Yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah. So anyway, this girl I text sometimes. Yeah, she'll like. I've gotten to the point where like I know she just like wants to talk when she wants to talk, so I never really reach out to her anymore.
Yeah, good.
I just like I'll respond if she texts me, but
Good.
I don't like initiating anymore. It's just like,
Good.
it's pointless. But today, I was genuinely busy. I took a lesson and I taught a lesson, and I was doing lots of practicing, and I had an interview earlier, so I had stuff today.
Yeah.
And she had texted me, and it was maybe like 4 hours later. She was like, "Are you mad at me? Why aren't you texting back?" It's like, whoa, what the fuck? It's like,
I hate those texts that you answer where immediately when you answer, you're like, oh, there goes my good mood.
Yep.
And it's like, when you're with someone who you get that like almost every other time you open the text, break that shit off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. God, I love.
You feel like that flush of heat in your face.
Yeah.
You're just like, God damn it.
Yeah. The weird thing is, I don't know exactly what accounts for this. I know, and women are probably going to find me on this in the comments, but I just, based on my experience, based on what I have witnessed in life, I think guys are more consistently and more intensely horny than women.
Oh, for sure.
I'm sure women get horny, and I know they pleasure themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
But guys are more like it gets to the point where you sometimes wish you weren't. Like you just kind of
Yeah,
wish
you
you
wish
could
you
just
could turn
turn it
that
off.
switch,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But you
Oh,
can't.
we've said that
It fucking
before,
sucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I almost think it comes down to, I know there's exceptions. There's some super horny women out there. Not saying there's not.
Yeah.
But, and we like it. But I think it kind of comes down to like that scientific thing of like guys are meant to procreate as much as possible and women like just around when they're ovulating get horny.
Yeah.
And I know there's exceptions, but in like a general sense. You know?
Yeah, totally. And I think because of that, you know, it's like kind of a weird supply and demand thing where now a lot of guys are coming at girls because we were horny a lot of the time. So they're like, they're constantly getting that. And it's not like special anymore to them.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be like,
Well, they know they can get a dude just by like standing over here and like waiting 2 seconds for someone to approach them.
Yeah.
Guys, you got to really put in the work.
yeah. And I mean, that being said, all the time they're like, oh, it sucks being a woman. Guys are all over you all the time. They're constantly looking at you. It's fucking obnoxious. But then at the same time, like I told you, my friend who's a girl said they will specifically keep guys around so they maintain feeling wanted.
Yeah. Get worried when that attention goes away.
Yeah. As a guy, it's like, I've been flattered if I found a girl looking at me, and it's very rare. And it's like, holy shit, it feels amazing.
It's very flattering.
It's such a rare thing.
Yeah. Or when a girl comes up and is like, wants to introduce themselves at a club or something, it's like, yes, come
like
over,
holy
yeah.
shit, this is like I'm in a fucking Disney movie right now.
Yeah, it's like a diamond in the rough.
yeah. It's a really rare and wonderful thing.
Yes.
And girls are so bitter about it, but because it happens so much, and I understand that. I mean,
I see both sides of the coin.
yeah.
Yeah.
But again, at the same time, like, again, just based on what I know, they're angry, but they also like they kind of want that, or at least they're so used to feeling wanted all the time.
Yeah.
That again, like you said, the notion of not feeling wanted is scary.
Yeah.
So they have to maintain that sense of like sexual worth.
It's weird.
It's really weird.
It's weird.
It's really really weird. It's not good.
Shit. I thought of another. If you want to stick with the
Go for it.
stick with the online
Yeah,
dating
yeah.
route. And the only reason we got into that was my buddy and I had gone out of town, and he was big on like Tinder and Hinge and Bumble and all that. And when you go to a place and you're single, it's like, oh, he was like, let's download this and see what girls we can meet.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And then when I came back, heat of COVID, I was like, let's keep it around for fun. And so I had a couple casual dates, good time. And I thought it would be a good time.
Yeah.
But this other chick I had met, she'd actually gone to the same school that I had gone to, but we just didn't really cross paths. But we knew some of the same people.
Yeah.
I'd actually gone out with one of her friends at one point.
Cool.
Anyway, so we met up, and cool chick, man. We had a good time. Went and got some drinks, like chilled, like a lot in common. Beautiful body, like she was like rocking, cute blonde, and had a really good time. And had a lot of common stuff because like we grew up in the same area, knew a lot of the same people, and yeah, good time. Second date, went out, went sushi, had a good time. It was fine. And then she was kind of initiating stuff. She was like, hey, let's pull off and go to the store and get some firewood. And I was like, firewood? And she's like, I want to go back to my place and make a fire. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm like, after I leave, and she's like, no, I want you to come with. And I was like, all right, cool. I knew. But I was like, sweet. So we went and we got some lumber, and then we went back to her
Very
place.
American spunk.
Very spunk, yeah.
Sushi and lumber.
I had my flannel on. And we went back to her place, and her roommates were out, so it was just me and her. And went in the back, a couple glasses of wine, nice roaring fire, pulls out a blanket, we cozy up. Oh. And then, next thing you know, we're talking for like a good half hour, and then we start making out, as you tend to do in those situations. And it was nice, man, and it started getting kind of steamy, And
with the lumber, fire.
All that zest, And then she's like, let's go to my room. And I'm like, yes. Fuck yeah, green light. So we go into her room and turn on the TV, and she's like, I want you to pick what we watch. I'm like, hell yeah.
Billy Madison.
Yeah. Close. I threw on Goodfellas.
Okay.
The most romantic movie. Which, of course, she'd never seen because girls haven't seen movies. And I know some of you have, but in my experience, a lot of girls haven't seen movies. And
in general.
In general, yeah. So we're watching Goodfellas, we're kicking back, and then off come the clothes. She's showing off her rocking body. She gets down to her panties, top off, climbs on top of me, having a great time. Fiery. Anyway,
because of the lumber.
Because of the lumber, yeah. So long story short, she initiated physicality, And anyway, so I spend the night.
Yeah.
Great time. And I leave the next morning because I have to work. And I head out. Great time. Next day, she's sending me like all these like sexy texts, like super flirtatious for the next like 3-4 days. Like pretty darn flirty. Anyway, she there's a part of the equation that I left out when she was like grinding on top of me and being like, I really want to fuck, and she's like, but I know we shouldn't. I was kind of like, I didn't want to pressure her, and I was like, okay, cool, we don't have to. We can just fool around, just make out. Anyway, and I wasn't like, I didn't push the subject at all. She says it again. She's like, oh, I really want to fuck, and I was like, well, I have a condom in my wallet. And then she was like, oh, really? And she's like, well, we better not. And I was like, okay. So like we ended up just fooling around for the night and then, sleeping over. And anyway, so that, let's say like 4 days later, finally she's like, are you used to getting what you want? And I was like, not really. I mean, once in a while, but not every time.
Yeah.
And then she's like, do you always carry a condom with you? And I was like, no. I'm like, just when I'm on a second date with someone that I'm attracted to and have good rapport with, and I think it's in the realm of possibility, I think all you guys should. It's better to be safe than sorry, because you don't want to knock someone up or get an STD. Just common sense stuff, It's just something you have handy.
Yeah, you should always.
Yeah, you should, and especially if it's you got a good thing going, and it's like, especially second date in, and she's sexy. It's like, yeah, why not? Anyway, she was really weirded out by the condom. She was like, really like, she's like, oh, that's strange. She's like, she's like, are you a player? Are you used to getting what you want? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm prepared.
Player?
And also, here's the thing. Think about it. She initiated the physical stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I had it.
Yeah.
And she was rocking. I would have. But anyway, after I explained myself, I'm like, oh, I just like to be prepared. I'm attracted to you. After that, then she started really easing off, and she was like, less and less. It's like she was like, we were texting a lot. After that, she just like less. I'm busy with work. I have 2 days off, but I have family stuff. And I can read between the lines. And I finally told her, I was like, all right, peace.
Yeah.
And then we just boom. She just ghosted, stopped talking. And then I hit her up like I think 1 week after that, and was like, I sent like a semi-flirty one just to test the waters. No response. Ghosted. And I'm like, okay, I can read between the lines.
What the fuck? I've never heard of that. It's
anyway,
insane.
At the end of the day, it's just weird, man.
Always carry a condom, guys.
Yeah, have a condom, and if someone's gonna shame you for it, I mean, that's a crazy bitch that wants to get knocked up.
Yeah.
And what blows my mind too is how many girls I've been, and Emmett can, I'm sure, confirm this as well. How many times you're with girls and it starts getting passionate, they just want you to stick it in, no condom.
I was about to say.
There's so many girls that are just like, they're on top of you and they're just like, let's just do it, just fuck. And it's just like, no, 1 second. Because I mean, dude, like it's crazy how many girls want you to just stick it in.
It's scary. It's like you're the one who's getting pregnant.
I can't tell you how many times girls have been like, let's do it. And I'm like, I don't have a condom. And
I know.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's a big thing.
God,
that's a big thing. It's different if you're dating and she's on birth control, and that's a whole different story. But like a random chick, like your second time meeting, and she just wants you to fuck her, and you don't have a condom, and they're like, it's fine, it doesn't matter, just do it. What the fuck? And that's so many girls. I've encountered.
I know. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I think I told you I had a scare once where my condom even broke. Like, and this girl preferred me not to use them anyway. But of course, I insisted.
Yeah.
And I think I was using one that she like gave me, and it was like it was kind of like,
why are there like holes
like the
in it?
Seinfeld, like was it blue?
Sheepskin. What is this?
Yeah, I know. But anyway, it broke, and one of the most horrific moments of my life. Just watching it. I climaxed, and I was like realized that I tried to pull out.
Take a plan B. Take a plan B.
Like watching it get on her, I was like, no, like it was so bad. And I had gigs like all that week, and so I was just like playing these gigs like fucking terrified. Yeah. But the scariest part was
that's a special kind of stress.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, yo, it broke. Like, holy shit, what are we gonna do? She's like, oh, it's fine. Like, she was totally cool with it. I was like, what are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's when you start questioning. You're like, hey, cool. And then you're like laying there sweating, and you're like, you're on the pill, right?
That whole week was hell.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. And it's
I think it's like that whole month is hell until you're like, oh, we're good.
Yeah. True. Yeah. It was really.
Yeah, that's scary shit. Anyway, so my thing is a crazy bitch like that. There were other red flags too. It's like I could tell she kind of had a crazy streak, and I don't know if you've encountered this. Maybe it's just me and my poor choice in women, but she was a hottie, and I remember there was a few red flags where we were driving past this one area, and she was like, "That's where I almost ran over my ex." And I thought she was kidding. And then she elaborated on it. She's like, oh, we had a toxic relationship. We were always fighting. And, I would hit him. And I was like, what the fuck? And then she's like, and one time I had it and I tried to kill him with the car. And I was like, so you're nuts. Yeah. You're nuts.
The weird byproduct of women, like, needing to justify that they're like the victim and the guy is the bad guy when they get out of a relationship is that they like hate all their exes, which is again it's so psychotic. Like if you chose to go out with this person and you end up like hating all your partners, it says something about you, not them.
It's good to have a healthy relationship with your exes if you can. I know it's tough a lot of times because the girls or whoever are like, fuck you if you have a bad relationship. But, I keep in touch with a couple of my exes and they're great people.
Yeah, me too.
And even though we had, the relationship didn't work, if you can still salvage even like an amicable, like slightly friendly acquaintance relationship, that's great. If you can be friends, more power to you. Yeah.
I have one person who I'm friends with, and our breakup was very mutual. But then again, I mean, if there's someone that you still have feelings for and it's just like awkward, don't feel obligated to be friends because that can hurt a lot. So just like if you need to pull away,
and sometimes it's better if you have something going on and starting with someone and it would hurt the friendship. Just be friends with them. Don't hurt them. Yeah. But this chick was nuts, man, and I'm glad I dodged the bullet on that one. And what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say also tell me if you've noticed this. Maybe it's just me and my wacky choice in women, but it seems like most girls after the age of 25 have either dated a drug dealer or been in an abusive relationship, and they tell you about it.
Oh yeah. I think like every girl I've dated was like abused at some point.
Yeah, I mean nothing wrong with drug dealers, but I'm sure there's some cool ones out there. But the abusive part, that's fucked up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it seems like most girls are like, oh yeah, my last ex was super abusive, and those guys sound like pieces of shit. Yeah. But it seems like it's a lot of girls.
One of them was even like, this is like the anniversary of my abuse.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa, okay, I'm so sorry.
So that's a whole different problem, and that maybe that's what's making these girls so damaged because there's fucking assholes out there who aren't treating them right.
It's so alien to me. I have problems making the first move a lot of the time. I usually like let them. I mean, they know what I want, but I have trouble just like putting myself on them. Yeah. I usually wait for them to like touch a leg or something, and then I'm like, all right. It's here, but I cannot fathom.
Yeah, I don't get
all of that shit.
Yeah, be nice to women, guys. Be nice to your partners. If you're women watching this, be nice to guys too. Anyway, my thing is we're gonna take one more break, guys, and then maybe we'll tell one more story, and then we'll hop into some current events.
Mommy, why did I get a cavity? Why?
Parents have to answer enough tough questions, so do all you can to prevent that one. Make sure you give your kids Crest. You see, Crest has Fluorostat. It's a unique formula, and no other toothpaste has ever done a test to prove it's better than Crest at fighting cavities. Crest, the dentist's choice for their patients, should be your choice for your children.
I hope I don't get a cavity next time.
I gotta take a break. I wanna play in the rain and take a break. 7-Up so cool and clear.
You could win a year's worth of free travel on United Airlines, plus $25,000. Look for the 7-Up Play All Day game.
What's up, guys? I hope you enjoyed those commercials.
Yeah.
So I think we just wanted to recap the overall theme. For today's episode. Man, this is a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's good being open with you guys, though, because I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this kind of stuff. Maybe not exactly, but there's always some crazy stories.
Yeah. And I think I felt the need to talk about this now specifically because, again, with COVID and the rise of OnlyFans, I think this whole problem with a lot of, again, not all, but a lot of women feeling very, very wanted, very desired, and very, very important because of that is reaching a height, and it's pretty bad right now. Actually,
it's creating some egotistical monsters.
Yeah. And again, at the end of the day, it's guys' fault for fueling the fire, and
they're like launching them onto a pedestal.
Yeah. And then they fucking they don't like you. I see so many.
Yeah.
They're a couple of girls I follow on Instagram that have like OnlyFans, and they're always pushing their OnlyFans.
Oh yeah.
I don't subscribe to the OnlyFans, but I just look at their pictures and stuff.
Agreed.
And they're always like, men serve me, fuck men, and it's like oh my god, like you would be nothing without all these horny guys. Yeah. And the other thing that I know, just because I'm a guy too, is that these guys that are probably subscribing like while they're in the middle of jerking off or something, like they're not thinking straight.
Yeah.
I'm sure the majority of these guys that are either subscribed or have just like bought content or whatever, I'm sure they've regretted it. because you have that post nut clarity where you're like, why did I just do that in a lot of situations? And I this is such a clear cut situation where all these guys are again like they're like in the middle of they're in the zone and they're like, oh, I just gotta do this, and they get their credit card out, and then I can just see it
even more
like,
so with the COVID times.
Exactly, yeah. Dudes are so desperate now because there's just no contact. But it's unhealthy for the guys. You shouldn't lower yourself to that. Like I want to see guys have more self-respect and more sense of worth in themselves, because there is I know that word gets tossed around a lot, but there is a lot of simping going on, and it's not good. It's not good for you. You have worth. Please don't lower yourself to buying everyone's OnlyFans. It's fucking stupid. You can get girls. I believe in you.
Yeah.
And then it's not good for girls either, because they're like, I always see that thing on Twitter where sex work is real work, and I was just telling a Ben yeah, it's real work in the sense that you're getting paid real money for it, but is it mentally healthy for you? Is it rewarding for you? Are you gaining anything? Are you becoming a better person? Are you learning something of value? Are you you contributing anything of worth to everyone else?
Yeah,
I would say no on all those fronts.
Yeah, and I know a couple girls who do have OnlyFans.
Yeah,
I swear.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
and their content is more tasteful. It's not sexual, and they're more into the cosplay aspect.
Right. Yeah.
And they're making good money, and I can see that side of it. I can see if you're doing that and you're making money and it's tasteful and it's something they were already doing. They're already going to Comic-Cons and stuff like that. That's cool. I can see that side of it. But when it's the more I'm the female mogul, here's my pussy, hear me roar, it's kind of I don't know. Yeah.
Do you guys think, would you guys be down if we made an OnlyFans and we just did photo shoots of us in jeans and a t-shirt?
Just us talking shit and eating sushi?
I would love to do that. We do videos of us eating our favorite sushi
completely
place.
Unfazed, completely non-sexual,
and then photo
mostly.
shoots. Yeah. And then we do photo sets as well, but it would just be us out on a walk or something.
We'll make an OnlyFans just for you guys.
I would love that so much.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a big thing that I think goes unsaid, and you kind of touched on a little bit with the whole guys having self-worth thing. We live in a time where it's girl power, the future is female. Guys, with their wants and needs are they're frowned upon. If a guy is attracted to a girl, it's dude, you're so animalistic. That's so 1950. Get the fuck out of here. And it's guys are punished for having these desires, but they're constantly being bombarded with sexual imagery on Instagram and with OnlyFans, with all this stuff, and even on TV. And it's okay, how are you supposed to react? What I mean?
Right? Yeah.
And it's guys are being punished for natural desires, and also they're kind of being belittled just for being men.
I know.
And it's that's something that kind of sucks. It's almost when the scales tip, they should tip in a positive way, but they always end up going too far.
Yeah.
And everything always gets a little too radical. Instead of things being equal and being positive, it's it creates a new form of inequality that nobody talks about, and everyone's oh no, they're just bitching, they're just whining, and it's you're creating all these frustrated dudes who feel they're of no value.
Yeah. And the thing that confirms me that guys are all over them constantly is, we were talking about this during the break, whenever we turn a girl down on a blue moon, what I was just saying earlier, I can't make it tonight, or I just don't feel like it, or whatever, it takes this huge blow to their ego.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to it, and they're what the fuck, am I ugly? Do you not like me? And they start fucking sobbing. It's because they're used to this horde of men always wanting to fuck them.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah, when you turn them down, suddenly it's you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't align with their schedule, and they're used to getting what they want 99.9% of the time.
So it's not good for them, and it's not good for you. It's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
So just have some self-worth.
Yes.
And
and be confident. There's nothing wrong with going after what you want, as long as you're doing it in a respectful, intelligent way.
Exactly,
it's don't be afraid to be oh, I'm attracted to her, I want to talk to her. And I know our modern times have tried to beat that out of men and make it where you're somehow disgusting for wanting that. I mean, obviously be respectful. Be smart about it, but don't be afraid to Pursue your desires.
Yeah, no, I know. It's so funny to me. It's so ironic how, I've seen so many articles talking about how OnlyFans is empowering women.
Yeah.
Is it really? I thought women going into STEM was supposed to empower women and show you that, but because OnlyFans is, it's the opposite of empowering, because their worth is based on their body, their sexual nature and their sexual presence alone. It has nothing to do with who they are.
Yeah.
And we were just talking earlier about how they always like push their Twitch also, and they're like, after you're done jerking off to me, go watch me play Minecraft.
Yeah. And I love how these Twitch girls, it's like no, it's just because I'm good at the games or whatever. I'm like, no, it's because you're wearing a low top with your tits hanging out.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're watching. Yeah.
They're not going to grow from this experience. You're wasting money, and I'm sure you're regretful of it.
Yeah.
And
it's just a weird time, man.
Yeah. I know.
It's a weird time.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I want to touch on this a little bit with the crazy bad dating stories. Multiple girls I've been out with over the past couple years, especially within the last year, I would say, have been really big on the men being bad and like girl power type thing. And like that last one, the steakhouse crazy bitch. We were talking one time, and I was talking about not being content with one aspect of my job, and talking to my manager at the time and being like, I'm curious about other positions within the company and all this. I'm more interested in marketing, yada yada. And she's like, wow, must be nice to be a man and say that. She's like, I could never. And I'm like, oh, you mean when I was talking to my female manager? I was like, you can voice when you're unhappy with something.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and there was another chick I'd gone out with who we had gone out, and it was like first date, and we were talking about eras you'd like to live in, and it's obviously 80s my first choice, and then she had mentioned something about the 50s. And I forget how we started talking about the 1950s. But anyway, the cliche thing that every girl under the age of 40 says now, and I think this girl was like 24 that I was going out with, and she was like, oh yeah, if you were a white male in 1950 or whatever. And I'm like,
Jesus
and I'm like,
Christ.
and that's like always the thing. Like, it's like, no matter what, you're bad for being a white male, and everyone else was oppressed, and all the 50s housewives were battered, and everyone else was being lynched. And I'm like, well, it depends on what part of the world. Like, maybe in the South, it was shitty. Yeah. But there were other parts of the world and other parts of the country. Yeah. And also, it's like just constantly shitting on white men in that era. It's like, oh, maybe those guys deserved a home-cooked meal because 10 years before they were in World War II. Yeah. And 10 years before that, or it was the Great Depression, and 10 years before that,
Yeah.
Whatever, fill in the blank. But that's always forgotten, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But it's just a funny thing to always bring up, and all this like the steakhouse chick was all like girl power and women empowerment and how much money she's making and everything. And she was super like future is feminine, and then it's like at the end of the day she just wanted someone to take care of her and to buy her shit. Yeah,
so
it's like, where'd all that independence go?
So ironic. Yeah.
Where'd all that independence go and all that girl power magic at the end of the day when you just want to just swipe some dude's wallet?
Yeah, I think because it gets pushed in the media a lot, I really do think a lot of women think guys are just swimming in it and everything's easy for them.
Yeah.
Every woman I've ever dated has been more financially well off than me, by far, easily. And yet, I mean, again, we always pay for the dinners, and we always try to provide, even though and they'll casually mention at some point how they have like $5,000 in savings, and I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I'm constantly like buying the dinners, buying the movie tickets, and I've lived like paycheck to paycheck my whole life. And yet we're still just of that role. We're expected to have that role where, and I know these days everything's like, oh, equality, but at the same time, women still like men to have that role where they pay for everything. Hence that steakhouse girl where she was like, I can't be paying for my own meals, I have goals.
Yeah. But she had enough money to buy a house.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck? Yeah. Like, Jesus, guys. Yeah. It's really bad. Yeah. It's just like have.
And at the time, I was like checking my bank account, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Have some fucking respect for yourself, and have some respect for people around you. Have respect for everyone's struggling. Like, it's not things don't magically just come to guys, and
it's crazy, man.
I don't understand where that comes from.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah, the whole. Yeah. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot,
guys. If you're on, if you're subscribed to OnlyFans or anything like that, just stop. Please stop.
Unless she's really hot. Narrow it down to one. How about that? Narrow it down to one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like they post enough on like Twitter and Instagram and everything that I don't need. Like, I feel sufficient not subscribing to the OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, but just don't do it. It's really unhealthy for everyone.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. It's just a weird dynamic. And here's another thing I want to mention to you guys, because I know some people will be like, "Oh, the men are always supposed to pay." Da 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 da. Okay, so my thing is, I remember when we first started. When I first started dating girls, it was like, it was always like, unless they were like adamant about going Dutch, it was like, usually you pay for it. That was just kind of how it was. But a reason why I'm hesitant now, especially after these previous encounters that I've had with some of these psychos, it's one of those things where right off the bat, like, sure, first date, you invite them out. Yeah, go ahead. If you invite them, pay for the meal. But as it goes on, it's almost like, why would I pay for a meal with someone who could totally flip and be crazy like that, which I've seen happen multiple times in a row.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm not dating you, if we don't have any physical or emotional relationship or connection, if we're not a thing, why the hell am I going to be going out and buying you dinner when you're just going to fucking run off and ghost me the next day? And I think a lot of guys are starting to realize that, and that's what a lot of people don't seem to comment on, is like, there's so many dating horror stories out there and so many flighty girls that are just really non-committal and just in it for a free meal, it seems like. It's like, why the fuck should a guy go out and pay for him when they might not even see him again?
Yeah.
It's like, that should be more of a thing when it's like, you're established, you're dating, whatever, figure out the rules there. But right off the bat, it's like, I think guys are a lot more hesitant just because there are so many scary girls that are very bipolar.
I know.
And that's something that's never acknowledged.
Yeah.
It's like, why the fuck would I do that right off the bat, first date or second date, let's say? And it's like, you know damn well it's a high probability that next week, you know, you're never going to hear from that chick again.
I know.
It's like, no one talks about it.
The ultimate irony of this is it's very clear, like that one girl you went out with and a lot of girls that I've gone out with, that what they want is to be taken care of. Very traditional. I understand that they have. That's a very biological, fundamental thing.
But then the whole rest of the time is independent women and fuck men.
Exactly. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, I want to have a guy who has a lot of money, so I know I can safely have a kid, and he can provide for me. I don't have to do shit.
I'd love it if they would just say that.
I know, yeah. Like,
just say that. If girls were totally honest about that, and you were just like, hey, I expect the man to be the man in the traditional financial sense.
It's fine.
And to take care of
like that.
and just say it, and I'll be like, okay, cool. The expectations are set. Great.
Exactly.
But when they're like, men fucking suck. I'm an independent woman. Buy my shit.
Yeah, you can't,
go to hell.
You got to decide. Yeah,
like, go to hell. It's one or the other. I'd rather you say, I'm a princess, pamper me, and be like, okay, I know what I'm getting into.
Right. Yeah. Like, that's, guys have. We've been taught to sort of expect that, and if you're upfront with that, that's fine.
When you're sending all these mixed signals, trying to be Wonder Woman, you know, at the end of the day, but then you need Captain America so you can pop out some kids. It's just weird, you know.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Exactly.
It's weird. Your lasso's not going to work, lady.
So, but I'm just sick of the general trajectory of
it's sickening.
Women are like sexually dominating all these guys, and because of the COVID and everything, guys are just like just taking it in the ass, man. So just don't do that anymore. Have some fucking respect for yourself.
And good girls out there, few and far between, but thank you to the good girls out there. We appreciate you, and all
the girls that watch Unfazed are amazing.
Yeah, we have nothing but 10s that are just emotionally and physically 10s. Like, they're just amazing. But there's just a crazy number of wacky bitches out there, though, that are just turning these dudes into simps and just crushing their independence. Yeah. And that shit needs to stop. But
really sad.
If you find a good girl out there, hang on to her, but do your vetting and make sure she's actually who she says she is and that she's the real deal.
Yeah. You never know where they're just going to...
Yeah, because I've seen so many where it's like, you see so many that are just like, oh, everything's great, everything's awesome, and then a week later, you're like, whoop, psycho.
Yep.
So watch out for yourselves, guys, and don't get locked down with crazy.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to leave you with a couple things in the news. You know how we like to just see what's happening on the internet, whatever.
All right, so here we have a clip titled "Instant Karma Road Rage in Scottsdale, Arizona," and this is very common here.
Yeah, I'll put this in the video so you guys can see it. This is super common here, and I'd just like to briefly touch on the traffic. How the traffic here has been fucking insane.
Insanity, guys.
Constant gridlock. Just 24/7, 7 days a week gridlock.
Traffic, no matter what time of day, is hell here.
Yeah. A lot of Californians are coming. A lot of snowbirds are just like staying here, apparently.
The traffic, I don't think I've seen heavier.
It's
getting really crazy.
Always awful, yeah.
Yeah, like you go out on a Wednesday at like 1 in the afternoon and it's like fucking cars flipped over and on fire.
And there's always guys like this. And to be honest, like as Machiavellian as this is, it feels really good to see this happen.
It's great.
Because like we've all been here in this situation, and
instant
this
karma.
Fucking asshole, and he just eats it.
Yeah,
I hope he's okay, but good. Like that's what should happen. You piece of shit.
Yeah. There's just too many people like that have no regard for human life. No grasp on fucking physics.
I really gotta get. I'm so important.
Yeah.
Like, no, you just leave earlier.
I'm just glad they didn't take anyone down with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I love how everyone just drives away at the end.
Yeah. At the end, they're like, "That's what you get, fucker." So totally a thing. Drive safe, guys. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Buckle up. Yeah. Buckle up. I used to have a coworker that I worked with that was really cool, and she used to be a EMT, and like her big thing was always like buckle up, because she said all the times like they went to like fatal accidents it was because people didn't buckle up. Yeah. And she said she saw one where one guy was ejected, and had he been buckled, he would have probably lived. and he got flung like 10 feet from the car, and like his head was like severed from his body.
It looks like there's ground beef all over the road.
I guess, yeah, I don't know. And the friend was like, "Where'd my friend go?" And they're like, "Well, he's
over there. He's over there.
Yeah, and it's one of those where it's like, you know, that's sad, but it's like she said, had the dude been buckled in, like he probably would have lived.
Yep.
Yeah. So buckle up.
Yeah. I don't know who in the right mind doesn't just use a seatbelt these days.
I don't know.
It's bizarre
It's
to
crazy.
me.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sad we even have to comment on that.
I know. Buckle up, guys.
Common sense.
I feel like I'm on like PBS Kids.
Buckle up.
But
Buckle
seriously.
up.
Okay, so this one is really interesting. There's been, and this was from today.
Yeah.
The actual video was from a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, it just barely got declassified, though.
Yes.
So the footage we're going to link here was from 2019, but it just barely was declassified by the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And it shows UFOs.
It shows, and this is on Fox News. This was confirmed by the government. The footage was confirmed legit.
Footage from the Navy.
Footage from the Navy. Yeah. Confirmed. Yeah. So it's all. This was so funny to me because UFOs were just the government confirmed UFOs like 6 months ago or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
And
the Tic Tac ones.
Yeah. And now this is just like regular news. It's on Fox.
Yeah.
Here they are, the UFOs.
If this would have been 25 years ago, this would have been front page news. And now it's just like, another UFO.
There's a weird phenomenon I've been seeing. There needs to be a term for it where this crazy shit that was like a conspiracy and like it's totally out there, no one believes it, it's crazy. Whenever it becomes like factually true all of a sudden, there's no like what the fuck.
Yeah.
Everyone's just kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
Everyone
weird. Just like accepts it and it's like it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's just like we're talking about UFOs and literally the government and the news are referring to them as UFOs.
Yeah.
And you have guys in the government saying, I don't know what it is. I don't think our ships can do those kind of maneuvers.
I know.
And people are just like, all right, very
Fucking
passive
crazy.
about it. Anyway, so we'll link the footage here so you guys can check it out.
There was one other thing that kind of reminded me this. So let me just show you really briefly.
Sure.
So I'm not going to watch the video in its entirety, but everyone's been saying like there's that conspiracy that they're going to put a microchip in our vaccine or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Well, someone actually did it.
Oh, no shit.
It's a microchip that you get it and it goes under your skin.
So someone created one, like people know what they're getting though.
They know what they're getting
with these, okay.
But it was created like by the government, and it's there to like detect COVID technically, but it's still like
detect COVID.
Right? Yeah, it happened. Like it happened.
Yeah.
And
I love how chips under the skin were like a crazy thing like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're like, no, you can get it.
I know. Yeah. And now because it's real, it's like it's fine. And so I commented. There's a scary thing that happens when something that was previously a warning or a conspiracy via a book, a rumor, or a conspiracy theorist's rantings, quote unquote, becomes factual. It immediately goes from sounding insane, improbable, and laughable to being okay. Like suddenly everyone shrugs. There's no holy shit moment. It's just, oh, okay. Like it's a non-reaction, and that's always freaked me out.
Yes,
because like UFOs being real should have been a huge thing. I mean, there's people. There's always that caricature in movies. The guy who lives in the van who's been like tracking UFOs his whole life. They're
Tinfoil
really,
hat guys.
Yeah, there are really guys like that who spent their whole lives on this shit, and everyone laughed it off. You know, we made shitty 50s sci-fi movies about it, and now that they're real, like no one barely comments on it. It's just like, oh, okay.
And now they treat it almost like someone talking about a new kind of electric car.
I know.
Like they're just kind of like, oh, another one, cool. Yeah.
We should be asking now that we know they're real. We should be asking more and more and more and more questions.
And this gives more validity to the Space Force.
Yeah. No, it really does. Yeah,
it does.
There was, I think we touched on that huge. I don't want to get into it now, but that whole like Galactic Federation thing on the podcast. Yeah. So like, what the fuck? Like, seriously,
it's crazy stuff, guys.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, like we'll have the video here. We'll show you.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is some heavy duty stuff. And when you actually have guys, in the government saying we don't have that capability, we don't know what this is. That should maybe raise a few eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's crazy stuff. I mean, it just out of curiosity, not even let alone just the danger factor of like, oh, they could probably fuck us up.
Yeah.
Like, where'd they come from? What are they? What are we doing?
And Galactic Federation or not, like the whole Space Force thing is just looking ahead. Like space is inevitable. Every country is the race to space, right? Like everyone's trying to get there first.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you do need to start getting ready for it now because it's going to happen.
It's wild, man. I feel like if we were lucky enough to live to be like in our 90s and hopefully still cognizant, it'd be cool to see. Maybe there will be people on Mars. Maybe there will be people up on the moon. Like it's totally possible, dude.
Man. You could terraform Mars.
It'd be wild, man.
Wouldn't that be sick?
Planet of the Apes.
Well, Guys, if you want to see more of these dating horror stories,
Yes.
let us know, because we have a books, novels full of this
We
stuff.
have a plethora, and it's like, with the amount of time we have on a podcast, we can only touch on so many and
Yeah,
still talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
other stuff. So if you guys would like a part 2, please, please, please give us the
Yeah.
obligatory
Yep,
YouTube
yep.
thumbs up, share our videos, and subscribe.
And continue submitting. You can just talk amongst yourselves in the comments, or go on the Discord and send us a submission, and we could maybe add it to the next video.
Definitely. And if you guys like what you're seeing, please always remember, we have a Patreon, link below. Feel free to fuel the Unfazed team and the Unfazed crew.
That's right.
And as always, guys, just remain unfazed, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.